Hello and welcome back to Stewardship Sales Academy. I'm Logan, your host, and today we're talking about mastering objections with empathy. And it is the key to building strong client relationships. So, welcome back to the channel. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to you. And if you're in sales, business, or leadership, you've likely faced objections in every day. And today we're diving into something powerful, empathy and how it transforms objections into opportunities to serve. So, why is this important? Well, when clients or prospects raise objections, they're not rejecting you, they're actually expressing concerns, doubts, or needs. So, how we respond makes all the difference. If we approach objections with a servant's heart and genuine empathy, we build trust, relationships, and long term success. So, in today's video, we'll cover how empathy strengthens client relationships, biblical wisdom and expert insights on empathy in communication, and finally, practical techniques to apply empathy when handling objections. So stick around, and by the end of this video, you'll walk away with real strategies to help elevate your skills, your sales, and your leadership game. Start out with what is empathy? And Dr. Brene Brown, a research professor and best-selling author, actually defines empathy fuels connection, sympathy drives disconnection. So the difference, sympathy says, I feel bad for you, while empathy says, I understand what you're going through. Now, it it's a subtle difference, but you aren't feeling sorry for your client. You are understanding what their problem is and providing them with a solution. Again, it all comes back to value. And when they feel understood, they feel like your product fully meets their needs, you're going to make a lot more sales than if you're just trying to feel sorry for them and you're providing them with something that slaps a band-aid on it. If you're not solving real problems, you're not going to make sales. So here's a little biblical perspective about that too. In Philippians 2:4, it actually says, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interest of others. Empathy is about seeing through the client's eyes, feeling their concerns, and responding in a way that builds trust. So we're going to keep diving into this further as we start dealing with different objections and making sure that we're applying empathy. Put yourself in their shoes. Help them to understand what it is that your product does for them. Because again, at the end of the day, we're all wondering what's in it for me. So that's what we're going to do in this next section. We're going to step into their shoes with their objections and answer their questions, because when they have objections, it's not a rejection. Objections are just simply stepping stones, like we talked about in the last episode. So let's dive into the power of empathy in handling objections. All right, now that we have discussed what empathy is, we're going to unpack the power of empathy in objection handling. So let's talk about objections. Here's a scenario. You're on a sales call and the client says, this is too expensive. The wrong answer would be, well, our pricing is actually very competitive. You're just comparing yourself to others. You're not providing them with any value that is different from someone else. What if they're providing much more value than what you are providing? If you're just providing your service or your product, then they're likely going to go somewhere else. So here's an empathetic response. I completely understand budget is so important. Can I ask what value you're hoping to gain from a solution like this? It validates their concern. It asks what the value is that they're hoping to unpack from the solution that you're providing. And you can help unpack it further because it follows up with more questions. You dive deeper into it. And why this works is because you acknowledge their concern, you invite them to open up about their needs, and you shift the conversation from cost to value. Again, it's important. Cost is important, It's part of budgeting, it's part of life, but at the end of the day, you have to provide value. Value is what is going to go above and beyond what the cost is up front. A dollar amount is important, but at the end of the day, value trumps your cost. In Proverbs 18:13, it says, "To answer before listening, that is folly and shame." So making sure that you're fully listening to your client when you are talking with them. Again, the active listening that we've talked about last week, unpacking everything, making sure that you're understanding all their needs along the way. An example from Harvard Business Review, a study found that sales professionals who actively listen and demonstrate empathy close 40% more deals than those who focus on rebuttals. So take this to mind, take it to heart, change your approach. Make sure that you're applying empathy when possible and you're going to close more deals just simply because you're identifying with them, you're answering their questions, getting a better idea for what it is that they actually need, and you're not just combating with them, you're helping them. So, quick tip, instead of immediately countering an objection, ask, "Can you tell me more about that?" It's real easy to just dive in just a little bit deeper and understand them more. When you make it about them, when you're about serving them, you'll make more sales. All right, empathy in action. We're going to talk about the ERRICA method, and that's with two R's, but it's one of the best frameworks for handling objections with empathy. So we're going to unpack this. It's an acronym. So E stands for empathize, validate their concern. When you empathize with them, you step into their shoes and you fully understand, or you better understand what it is that they need. Then you're going to reframe. That's the first R, which you shift focus to solutions. They have a problem, you have a solution. Connect those dots. And when you start connecting those dots, the value of your product or service is going to shoot up. Next R is reflect. Repeat their concern to ensure clarity. Again, keep reflecting back, keep referring back to what it is that they need, making sure that you are connecting those dots and that you are clearly identifying those things. If there's a problem with communication, then make sure that you are clarifying that and make sure you're diving deep because that is where you're going to help them show that you are there to serve them through your product or service. I is for inform, share relevant details. They don't need to know all the nitty gritty details of your product or service. We like to know our product at a deep level so that we can explain all the features and all the bonuses that you get, but a lot of times it gets convoluted. Make sure that you're informing them of the relevant details that they need to know so that they can make an informed decision on your product. Now, if later they want to know about different aspects that you didn't cover, you're more than well off to go and explain those to them later, but make sure that they're informed on what they actually need to know. Next is C for confirm. So ask if your response makes sense. You want them to follow you and be able to understand what it is that you are offering without a doubt. And make sure that you're understanding them. That clarity is going to go both ways and it's going to continue to build trust and help develop that relationship over time. And finally, A is act. So move forward with confidence. Once you've identified the issue, you've reflected on that issue and reframed it, then you want to inform them of the solution with the relevant details, confirm that they understand that your product or your service provides them with the solution that they need, and then this is where you move forward. So, an example in a sales conversation, client says, I'm not sure that this is the right time for me to invest. You can come back and say, hey, I completely understand. Timing is everything. What factors are influencing your decision right now? With that, you're diving into exactly why they're hesitating. Is it cost? Is it time? Is it people? Are they getting ready to do some turnover? Are they getting ready to hire some new people? Are they talking with competitors? This is your chance to understand them better and make sure that you're getting to the root of their problem. In James 1:19 it says, "Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger." And I think that's the key, is just making sure that you are understanding your client fully as much as possible, because that is going to deepen your relationship. It's going to help you make more sales than ever before. Here is your actionable task for today. Think of a time that you used empathy to resolve a conflict and ask yourself, what was the objection or concern? How did you respond? Did you listen before speaking? And what was the result? Drop your experience in the comments and let's learn from each other. To wrap up, remember these three key points. Objections aren't roadblocks, they're opportunities to serve. Empathy builds trust and deepens client relationships. And using ERRICA and biblical principles will set you apart in sales and leadership. So here's a final thought, and it comes from Matthew 7:12. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them. And again, it's that hearing, it's understanding, and making sure that you are getting to the root of the problem with the solutions you are offering. If you found this video valuable, hit that like button, subscribe, and share with a friend who needs to see it. And see you next time.